Chapter 2568, Pretending to be weak. Kong Long waved his hand and stopped the burly man. I looked at Lu Ming with interest and said, "You're the #1 heaven's favorite in your world?" "That's right. You don't look too old. Do you dare to accept my challenge?" Lu Ming said loudly. "How long have you been cultivating? If you cultivate for too long, you won't be qualified to be my opponent." Kong Long said arrogantly, "I've been cultivating for over 8,000 years. Lu Ming said, deliberately with arrogance. I had heard from the ancestral dragon that anyone who had cultivated for less than 10,000 years in the primeval universe would be considered a talent of the younger generation. Therefore, he said 8,000 years on purpose. You've cultivated for 8,000 years to reach this level of cultivation. Not bad. All right, I'll play a few moves with you," Kong Long said arrogantly as he stepped forward. He was very curious about the abilities of a prodigy from a small kiliacosm. He was a prodigy himself and naturally wanted to test Lu Ming's skills. "Young master, don't take the risk," one of the burly men said worriedly. "What did you just say? Risk? Are you looking down on me, thinking that I will lose to a native from a small kiliacosm?" Kong Long stopped in his tracks. His eyes were cold as he looked at the burly man. His face was dark. The burly man's expression changed and his back was covered in cold sweat. He knelt down in fear and said, young master, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. Please spare my life, young master." Kong Long was the son of the hall master of the Origin Luo Palace. He was very talented and doted on. Otherwise, the entire planet of the underworld wouldn't be his territory. Moreover, Kong Long was cruel and merciless. Anyone who made him unhappy would die. It would be strange if he wasn't scared to death. "I've been cultivating for more than 500 years and I've already reached the demi-G. D realm. My combat strength can kill a first-level ethereal G. Oh, D realm expert. Do you really think that an aboriginal from a small world can harm me?" Kong Long spoke again, his voice even colder. No, how can this be? Young master's divine power is unparalleled, and he's a peerless heaven's favorite. How can this native be young master's opponent? Yes. I bet that this native can't withstand 3 moves from young master. No, 1 move will be enough. The others all spoke up and started to flatter him. Only then did Kong Long's face look a little better. "You guys step back a little, don't get in the way." Kong Long waved his hand. The others could only retreat. From their point of view, Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. Moreover, an aboriginal from a small kiliacosm posed no threat to Kong Long at all. They were not worried about this. Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had achieved his goal. As long as these people looked down on him, he would challenge Kong Long and take him as a hostage. Only then would he have a chance of survival. He put on an act and Kong Long fell for it. At the same time, he was secretly shocked. Kong Long had only cultivated for about 500 years, and he had already reached the demi-G. D realm. In the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G. Oh, D realm, this was an unbelievable thing. He had cultivated for less than 500 years, but he was different. He couldn't be explained by common sense. In terms of true cultivation, he wasn't even a demi-G. D. In addition, people like Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Dandan couldn't be judged with common sense. On the other hand, Kong Long was able to cultivate to the demi-G. Oh, D realm in 500 years. This kind of talent was extremely shocking. Moreover, he said that his combat strength could rival a first-level void G. Oh, D realm existence. The primeval universe was indeed not something that the heaven realm, the primordial realm, or the evil G. Oh, D realm could compare to. The moment Lu Ming came out, he met a powerful heaven's favorite. "Kid, let's do it. Let me see what you can do," a native from a small kiliacosm. Kong Long stepped forward, not far from Lu Ming, his face full of pride. Lu Ming made his move. However, he did not use the path of domination. Instead, he simply relied on his physical strength and threw a punch. What a stable see. Lu Ming could feel the difference when he threw a punch. The power of his physical body was equivalent to that of a peak heavenly emperor. If he were in the heaven realm, primordial realm, or evil D realm, the sea would collapse into pix with one punch. But now, he found that the T was extremely stable, and not even a ripple was produced. Small tricks. Kong Long smiled disdainfully and threw a punch as well. Eli's fist was covered with a thin layer of divine power. Boom. Their fists collided heavily. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he was sent flying backward, spurting out a mouthful of blood. How can he be the #1 heaven's favorite in a small kiliacosm with such strength? Small world, you're really a native, country kin, I'll cripple you now and take you back to refined medicine. Kong Long's contempt grew. He waved his hand and attacked Lu Ming continuously. When the rest of the people saw that Lu Ming had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Kong Long in one move, they immediately relaxed. In their opinion, Lu Ming was indeed an ordinary transformation void martial artist. He was no match for Kong Long. Lu Ming tried his best to resist and pretended to be defeated. In fact, he was secretly activating the battle formula. Kong Long's cultivation was at the demi-G. D realm and his combat power was indeed very strong. He far surpa. This, said the demi-G. Yes, that Lu Ming had encountered. In the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil D realm, no other demi-G D could compare to him. It was not a lie for him to say that he could fight with a first-level virtual D. Therefore, Lu Ming wanted to trigger the doubling of combat strength. This way, he could subdue Kong Long in one fell swoop before the others could react. Brat, kneel down and beg for mercy. Perhaps I can show you mercy and spare your life. Kong Long laughed arrogantly as his attacks became more and more violent. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The double combat power of the battle formula had been triggered. Is that so? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a strange smile. Boom. Lu Ming retaliated. He stretched out his hand and the way of the Dominator burst forth, crushing Kong Long's attack. He grabbed Kong Long's wrist and shook hard. Kacha! Kong Long's body trembled like a sieve, his bones breaking inch by inch. At the same time, Lu Ming grabbed Kong Long's neck. Kong Long was like a pool of mud, unable to move at all. All of this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. By the time the others realized it, it was already too late. What's going on? Kid, what are you doing? Let go of the young master. You're looking for death. The others roared in anger and exploded with a shocking aura. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. The two burly men and the elder behind Kong Long were definitely at least 4th-tier void D realm. They were extremely terrifying. Take one step forward and hell die. Lu Ming said coldly. The path of domination had enveloped Kong Long. With a single thought, Kong Long would die. Those people stopped in their tracks, not daring to move forward. Kid, lowly barbarian, let me go now. Kong Long roared. He naturally understood now that Lu Ming had been pretending. He had pretended to be weak so that he could take advantage of the situation to trap him. Chapter 2569 Escape? Let you go? You're really naive. If I let you go now, wouldn't I be courting death? Lu Ming sneered, his eyes filled with killing intent. He swept his gaze over the people around him and said, Move, let me leave or I'll kill him. You dare? Kid, do you know who he is? He's the young master of the Yuanluo Palace, the son of the palace master. If you dare to touch him, you'll end up in a miserable state. Do you understand? The elder roared, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent. If not for his apprehension towards Kong Long, he would have killed Lu Ming with a single blow. The son of the palace master of the Yuanluo Palace? That's even better. If I kill him, all of you will be buried with him. Come on, we'll die together. Lu Ming said coldly. You, the old man and the two men were so angry that they almost vomited blood, but they didn't dare to act. Rashly. Lu Ming was right. Kong Long was the favorite of the ball master of the Yuanluo Hall. The hall master was known for his ruthlessness. If Kong Long died, they would be buried with him. Kid, you're finished. I'm telling you, there's no way for you to escape. I'm going to kill you and all the people in your small world. I won't let anyone go. They'll all die. Kong Long roared madly. The thought of being captured by a native from a small kiliacosm made him go crazy. If this were to spread, wouldn't he become laughingstock? Blowing. Lu Ming said coldly. Then, he swung his palm like a knife and one of Kong Long's arms flew out. Ah! Kong Long screamed in pain. At his level, he could quickly recover even if his body was torn apart. However, the pain was real. How audacious! You're looking for death. The others also roared in anger. You're talking nonsense. Next time, I'll directly destroy his divine flame. Now, all of you, get out of my way and let me leave. I'll naturally let him go. Lu Ming said coldly. Let go of the young master and we'll let you leave. The old man said, Do you think I'm stupid? I'll let him go and you'll kill me immediately. Let me leave first. Otherwise, I'll have to cripple him first. Lu Ming said. His dominator's power transformed into a sharp sword and pierced into Kong Long's dantian, trying to destroy his divine fire. Get out of the way, you idiots, get out of the way. Let him go, let him go. Kong Long shouted hysterically. He was afraid. He was truly afraid. Once the divine flame was destroyed, his cultivation would be crippled. So what if he let Lu Ming go? In his heart, even if there were 10,000 or 100 million Lu Mings, they were not as important as a single hair on his head. He swore that once he escaped, he would send experts to capture Lu Ming and grind his bones to dust. The people at the side had ugly expressions, but now, they could only move aside. The old man and the others retreated to the sides. Buzz. Lu Ming carried Kong Long and dashed past them, leaving the encirclement. Let go of the young master now. The old man roared. When I'm safe, I'll naturally let him go. Also, you'd better not chase after me, or I'll immediately cripple him. Lu Ming said coldly. The old man and the rest were extremely furious. They wanted to cut Lu Ming into 8 pieces, but they did not dare to pursue him. They could only watch helplessly. Lu Ming flew at full speed and disappeared from their sight in the blink of an eye. Quick, report this to the higher-ups and send experts at the 7th level of the Void D realm and above. We must kill that brat and save young master. Hurry up. The old man and the others immediately took action and left the place. Their cultivations were still insufficient. If there were powerhouses at 7th level Void D realm and above, even if Lu Ming took down Kong Long, those people would be able to kill Lu Ming quickly and save Kong Long before he could react. The elder and the rest left the place one after another while Lu Ming carried Kong Long and flew at top speed. The SPC of this primeval universe is too stable, and the gravity is shockingly strong. As Lu Ming flew, he wanted to tear open the SPC and travel through it. However, he realized that he could not do it. In the heaven realm, with his cultivation, he could travel from one world to another in an instant with a single step. But now, he realized that even if he used his full strength, he couldn't tear open SPC. Not to mention tearing SPCE, he couldn't even create a ripple. Moreover, the gravity here was extremely shocking. Lu Ming's flying speed was a few hundred times slower than when he was in the heaven realm. What a dense divine qi! Then, Lu Ming took a deep breath and felt that the divine qi in the world was surging toward him like a tide. Yes, it was divine qi, not original qi. This sea here was filled with divine qi, which was exactly the same as the one in Netherworld Mountain. However, the divine qi in Netherworld Mountain could not be compared to this place at all. It was much thinner than here. Although Netherworld Mountain was also sealed there from the primeval universe, it was normal for its divine qi to be thin after such a long time. The cultivation environment here is too good. If I cultivate here, my cultivation speed will be at least 10 times faster than in the heaven realm. In some good places, it might even be faster. Lu Ming pondered. No wonder Kong Long had attained the cultivation of a demi-G. D in less than 500 years of cultivation. The cultivation conditions here were completely incomparable to those in the heaven realm. The great kiliacosm in the primeval universe was also known as the divine realm. The end point of all the small kiliacosm was not just a saying. "Brat, you're here, let me go." Kong Long shouted again. "Shut up and let you go." As far as I know, the entire underworld star is the territory of the Yuan Luo Palace. When I'm safe, I'll naturally let you go," Lu Ming said coldly. Kong Long was furious, but he could only hold it in under the circumstances. Lu Ming kept flying, looking for an isolated place to fly. After half a day, he had no idea how far he had flown. Al flew to a barren mountain and there was no one around. Lu Ming stuffed Kong Long into the mountain and river diagram and continued flying forward. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed. Lu Ming flew into a desolate mountain range. All of a sudden, an explosive roar came from below. The roar shook the sky and the mountains trembled. Then Y mouth rushed out from below and bit at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. He burst out with all his strength and used the way of the master to stomp down. The ruler's power condensed into a huge purple gold foot, which stepped on the mouth. With a loud bang, the purple gold foot collapsed, and Lu Ming was sent flying by a powerful force. What shocking power! It's equivalent to a second-level ethereal G.O.D. realm expert. What's that? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. He used this force to fly at high speed. Bang, bang. The earth rumbled as Lu Ming saw a huge creature as large as a mountain. It trod on the ground and chased Alter Lu Ming. $2. Chapter 2570. Difficult to leave. It was a creature that Lu Ming had never seen before. Its body was covered in scales and its hind legs were thick and strong. However, its front legs were very short and small, which were curled up in front of its body. His head was somewhat like a lizard's. His mouth was incomparably huge and was filled with terrifying fangs. His hind legs were running wildly at an astonishing speed. To Lu Ming's surprise, I was emitting a terrifying dragon's might. Lu Ming did not get entangled with the other party. He flew full speed. Right now, he hadn't activated the double combat strength, so he wasn't a match for a second-level Void G.O.D. realm existence. After flying for a while, the creature stopped when it saw that could not catch up with Lu Ming. It did not continue to pursue him. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he did not dare to be careless. He retracted his aura and slowed down. Who knew if there were other powerful existences in this barbaric mountain range? As expected, after flying for a short while, Lu Ming saw another huge creature. It was similar to the one before, but its aura was more terrifying. It had reached the third level of the Void G.O.D. realm. Fortunately, Lu Ming had discovered it early on and avoided it from far away. He'll ask Senior Ancestral Dragon. With a thought from Lu Ming, shadow flashed and the Ancestral Dragon appeared. The Ancestral Dragon had been waiting vigilantly. The moment he appeared, he immediately scanned the surroundings. When he saw that La Ming was alone, he heaved a sigh of relief. La Ming, what happened? Did you manage to escape? Zhu Long was shocked. This time, he was really going all out and the chances of success were not high. He had even prepared himself for the outcome of Lu Ming failing and all of them being captured. At that moment, he saw that Lu Ming was alone in the wild mountains. Naturally, he was extremely surprised. Senior, I was lucky enough to take the first step. Lu Ming immediately recounted the situation. The son of the Yuan Luo Palace Master? Zhu Long's eyes moved. Seems like he is the son of the Yuan Luo Palace Master. He had been in the heaven realm for countless years, while Kong Long had only cultivated for about 500 years. Zhu Long naturally did not know about Kong Long. Lu Ming, you must keep this Kong Long in your hands. We are still on the Umber Star. The Origin Luo Palace will definitely send a large number of experts to hunt you down. He might be useful at a critical moment. Zulong said, Senior, then how do we leave the Dark Underworld Star? Lu Ming asked. The Dark Underworld Star is extremely huge. It's much bigger than the Heaven Realm, the Primordial Realm, and the Evil G. O, D realm combined. If we want to leave the dark underworld star and head to other vital planets, we must take the S.P.C.E. teleportation array, Zulong said. Then we can use Kong Long to threaten him, then take the teleportation formation and leave this place. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. You can't. Zhu Long shook his head and sighed. The starry sky teleportation formation must be guarded by a terrifying existence. If you encounter an existence above the 7th level of the Void G.O.D. realm, I'm afraid that even Kong Long's threat will be useless. That kind of existence is simply too powerful. I reckon they can kill you before you can even react. They can even annihilate your soul before you can kill Kong Long. So strong. Lu Ming also frowned. In the ethereal G.O.D. realm, each realm is stronger than the previous. The difference is too big. If you encounter a true G.D., I'm afraid he can kill you with just one thought. Zulong said. It seems that my strength is at the bottom level in this primal universe. Lu Ming felt a little helpless. In the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D. realm, his strength was already at the peak. However, as soon as he came to the primeval universe, he found that he was too weak. Any expert or a giant beast he encountered in the wild was stronger than him. Al still had a long way to go on his path of cultivation. Before the martial G.O.D. realm, it was only the first step of cultivation. Becoming a martial G.O.D. was the second step of cultivation. The virtual G.O.D. realm was only the starting point of the second step. There were still true G.O.D.s, heavenly G.O.D.s, and divine kings, each stronger than the last. He really didn't know how terrifying an existence that had reached the G.O.King realm would be. He probably could destroy a small world like the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D. realm with a casual breath. Senior, can we directly cross the starry sky and head to other planets? Lu Ming gathered his thoughts and asked again. Crossing the starry sky? Zhu Long shook his head and said with a bitter smile, the starry sky is full of dangers. An ordinary virtual G.O.D. will probably explode and die once they enter the starry sky. True G.O.D. realm existences can stay in the starry sky for a short time, but they can't cross the starry sky. To cross the starry sky and enter another life planet from one life planet, one must at least be a heavenly G.O.D. Heavenly G.O.D. realm. Lu Ming was speechless and gave up on this plan. However, one doesn't have to rely on one's own cultivation to cross the starry sky. In the primeval universe, there's a kind of warship that can cross the starry sky. However, it's so precious that ordinary people can't have it. Zulong said. Then what should we do? Lu Ming's brows furrowed deeply. You can't go to the teleportation formation. If he couldn't cross the starry sky, how was he going to leave this place? He didn't have much time left. He only had 1 year. If he couldn't leave after 1 year, the small world in his body would merge with the primeval universe. Not only him, but all the people who cultivated the nomological laws and cultivated small worlds in the heaven realm would do the same. At that time, the fluctuations would be huge. If he stayed on planet Dark Underworld, he would probably be sensed by the Origin Luo Palace. It was too dangerous to stay on the shadowed star. He had to leave the planet within a year. In the distance, a huge creature roared and strolled through the mountains, causing the mountains to tremble. Desolate beast! The ancestral dragon looked at the huge creature and muttered. Desolate beast? Lu Ming was puzzled. Could it be that I was not a divine beast? In the primal universe, there are 2 types of beasts. One is the G.O.D. beast, and the other is the desolate beast. G.O.D. beasts are very intelligent. Just like humans, they created all kinds of cultivation techniques. All kinds of races gathered and spread throughout the primal universe, forming powerful forces. As for desolate beasts, their intelligence is very low. They cultivate according to their instincts and like to stay in the wild mountains. Actually, in the very beginning, desolate beasts and divine beasts were originally the same race. It was just that as time said, they slowly split up. Zhu Long explained. Lu Ming nodded. He understood. This is a wild dragon. It's an extremely powerful existence among the wild beasts. It said that in the early days, the wild dragon and the true dragon were of the same race. Zhu Long explained. Then, the two of them discussed for a while. They didn't have a better idea for the time being, so they decided to go to some places where people gathered and inquire about the news before making the next preparations. After that, the ancestral dragon returned to Lu Ming's small world. Lu Ming continued to fly. It took Lu Ming more than 10 days to fly out of the mountain range. He then concealed his aura and changed his appearance. He chose a random direction and flew forward. The surface area of the dark underworld star was simply too large. Even though Lu Ming's speed here was 100 times slower than in the heaven realm, his current cultivation level allowed him to fly at an astonishing speed. However, still took Lu Ming a few more days before he saw a city. Chapter 2571 exposed a majestic city stood tall on the ground. It looked even bigger than Two World City. Lu Ming walked through a huge city gate and entered the city. So many races. After entering the city gate, Lu Ming realized that the streets of the city were filled with people of different races. At a glance, Lu Ming discovered at least dozens of races. Although there were also humans, they had the least. The chaotic astral river is a place where all kinds of races gather. It's true. Lu Ming had a thought. During the journey, Lu Ming would chat with Zhu Long from time to time. Zhu Long told Lu Ming many things. About the desolate universe. The primeval universe was boundless and had countless life planets. In the primal universe, there were countless races, each occupying a large territory. These territories were called star territories. Under each star area, there were many galaxies, and under each galaxy, there were many life planets. The Yuanluo Palace was located at the edge of the primal universe, in a place called the Chaotic Astral River. The Chaotic Astral River could be said to be one of the most barren galaxies in the entire primal universe. The powerful forces didn't care about this place at all. Therefore, it had become a special galaxy. Those from various races who can't survive, escapees, or people who are being hunted, will all come to the Chaotic Astral River. Thus, the Chaotic Astral River has countless races. This place was filled with chaos, and killing could be seen everywhere. Of course, the Chaotic Astral River has also formed various powers of different sizes. These powers can also be seen fighting each other everywhere. When Lu Ming first heard that this place was one of the most barren places in the entire universe, he was shocked. To Lu Ming, the cultivation environment here was already extremely amazing. It was dozens of times better than the heaven realm. Such a place was actually the most barren place in the entire universe. Then, how amazing would the places with good cultivation environments be? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. He felt that the primeval universe would be more exciting than the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil D realm. What about the Great Void Holy Dynasty? Lu Ming suddenly thought of the Great Void Holy Dynasty that Baya had mentioned. The master of Netherworld Mountain, Jianghu, was from the Great Void Holy Dynasty. But where was the Great Void Holy Dynasty? Lu Ming had asked Zhu Long about it, but Zhu Long shook his head. He had never heard of the Great Void Holy Dynasty. The ancestral dragon was born and raised in the Chaotic Astral River. According to what he said, he had never left the Chaotic Astral River in his entire life. Lu Ming wandered around the streets. There were all kinds of races here, so naturally, no one paid attention to him. It seems like there aren't many virtual GODs? Lu Ming walked around and realized that most of the people on the street were at the Martial Emperor realm. In the primal universe, there were also the Void Prying stage, True Void stage, Void Interpretation stage, and Void Transformation stage. There weren't many people who had reached the Void GOD realm. In particular, Lu Ming had seen most of those at the Transformation Void Martial stage and Demi-G. Yes. It seemed that it was not easy to break through to the Martial GOD realm in the prehistoric universe. Lu Ming walked around and found an inn to stay in. For the next few days, Lu Ming would wander around the city or go to some restaurants to find out more. Lu Ming knew that only the two largest cities had teleportation formations. However, both cities were guarded by a large number of experts from the Yuanluo Palace. Do you want to take a risk? Lu Ming pondered. Al wanted to disguise himself in front of the teleportation formation and see if he could take the opportunity to slip through. However, he wasn't confident. Although his divine breath technique was effective in the heaven realm, this was the desolate universe. There were too many experts. Who knew if those experts would see through the disguise of the divine breath technique? Moreover, as Lu Ming's cultivation level increased, the effect of the divine breath technique became less and less. It became more and more difficult to conceal his aura. This was natural. The stronger one's cultivation was, the more powerful one's aura would be. It would be more difficult to change and conceal one's aura, unless one had a more exquisite aura concealment technique. Let's observe for a while and see if there are any other ways. If there's no other way, we can only take a risk. Lu Ming made a decision. After that, Lu Ming stayed in the city, cultivating and thinking of ways. In this place, Lu Ming's cultivation speed was much faster than the heaven realm. Lu Ming would often use Jing Ye's portrait to comprehend the will of the ruler, and his progress was rapid. However, there was a seal on Jing Ye's scroll. Lu Ming had not been able to open it, probably because his cultivation level was not high enough. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. In 2 months, Lu Ming's comprehension of the path of domination had improved by a large margin. It was comparable to 10 years of cultivation in the heaven realm. He believed that it would not be long before his cultivation base would rise again. On this day, Lu Ming was walking on the streets when he suddenly looked up at the sky. Buzz ID in the sky, a few beams of light lashed by. They were virtual D-level masters. In the past few days, there have been more and more experts in the vicinity. Indeed, they seemed to be looking for someone. Around them, many people were discussing. Could it be that the experts from the Yuanluo Palace are looking for me? Lu Ming had a thought. Since he had captured Kong Long, it was only natural that the Origin Luo Palace would not let him go and would send a large number of experts to hunt him down. Following that, Lu Ming became even more careful. However, in the next few days, Lu Ming discovered that the number of experts in the city had decreased instead of increasing. There was a trend of more and more. Some people even walked into the city and looked around with sharp eyes. It was as if the other party had locked onto the city. Lu Ming returned to the inn, summoned Zhu Long, and told him about the matter. Not good, the enemy must have locked onto you. You just came out of the heaven realm and haven't assimilated with the primeval universe, so you must have a strong aura of the heaven realm. It won't be difficult for the enemy to lock onto you as long as they spend some time studying you. Zhu Long's expression changed drastically, Lu Ming's expression changed. However, the other party didn't find you immediately. This means that they can only determine the approximate area and can't accurately determine you. Now, you have leave this place as soon as possible. Zulong said. All right. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He kept the ancestral dragon into the small world and left the inn immediately. He headed out of the city and soon left the city gate. He chose a random direction and flew forward. Stop! After Lu Ming had flown for a while, 2 people flew toward him and one of them shouted. Lu Ming's heart jumped. They were 2 middle-aged men, both at the ethereal G-O-D realm. One of them was holding a crystal ball, which was shining with a weak light. The 2 middle-aged men flew toward Lu Ming. When they neared him, the crystal ball suddenly shone brightly. It's him! The 2 middle-aged men's eyes lit up. Buzz! Lu Ming immediately dashed out and flew rapidly in another direction. Stop right there. Chase. The 2 middle-aged burly men chased after Lu Ming at top speed. Chapter 2572 surrounded the crystal balls in the 2 middle-aged men's hands could clearly sense Lu Ming's aura. As soon as they got close, they lit up. Lu Ming's face was gloomy as he flew at top speed. However, as time passed, the distance between him and the 2 middle-aged men was getting closer and closer. Brat, you won't be able to escape, one of the burly men said ferociously, his aura overbearing. The two middle-aged men were both at the second level of the Void God realm. If Lu Ming was in his normal state, he would not be a match for them. Therefore, Lu Ming kept triggering the battle formula as he flew. Boom. There seemed to be an explosion in his body. The double combat power of the battle formula had been successfully activated. Lu Ming did not take action immediately. Instead, he continued flying. In the blink of an eye, both parties were far away from the city and flew into a forest. Buzz. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's figure that was flying at high speed came to a halt. Not only that, but he also charged at the two middle-aged men. A combat sword appeared in his hand and he slashed. The two middle-aged men did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly stop running and charge at them instead. They could not stop in their tracks and rushed toward Lu Ming. Boom, boom. The two middle-aged men also made their moves. They each launched a move. However, it had happened too suddenly, so they could only use 50% of their combat strength at most. A second-tier Void God could only exert 50% of his combat strength. He could not withstand Lu Ming's full power at all. One of the middle-aged men did not even have the chance to scream before he was cut in half by Lu Ming's sword. Not good, the other burly man retreated. Kill! Lu Ming wielded his combat sword and charged at the middle-aged man with cold killing intent. The middle-aged man finally came to his senses. He took out a saber and slashed at Lu Ming. Clang! The sword and saber collided, causing a violent tremor. The middle-aged man's figure was forced to retreat. Lu Ming's combat power was doubled after activating the battle formula. Although he was not a match for a third-level virtual god-level martial artist, he had an absolute advantage over a second-level virtual god-level martial artist. After forcing the middle-aged man back with one move, Lu Ming continued to attack his opponent, launching a storm of attacks. The middle-aged man's roar was like thunder. Naturally, he was not willing to be killed, so he fought back with all his might. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them collided continuously. However, Lu Ming's combat strength was ultimately stronger. The middle-aged man was no match for him. After more than 10 moves, both his arms were shattered by the impact. He was sent flying backward and spat out blood. Whoosh! Lu Ming became one with his sword and charged forward, killing the middle-aged man. You're looking for death. At this moment, two figures flew over from the direction of the city, exuding cold killing intent. It was obvious that the commotion of the battle had alerted the other experts of the Yuanluo Palace. Lu Ming's face darkened. With a wave of his hand, he kept the storage rings of the two middle-aged men. Then, he turned into a ray of light and flew away at high speed. The two people who came later were very powerful. One of them was at the second level of the Void God realm, while the other had a terrifying aura and had reached the third level of the Void God realm. This was not the Heaven realm. Lu Ming could mobilize the power of the Heaven realm's primordial realm and the Evil God realm. Here, Lu Ming was definitely not a match for a third-level Void God realm expert. Lu Ming flew at top speed, with two people in hot pursuit behind him. These two people also looked middle-aged. One of them was a burly man with a single horn on his head, while the other was a human with loose hair. The human's cultivation was at the third level of the Void God realm. The two sides, one chasing and one fleeing, flew tens of thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. Buzz. At this moment, a figure suddenly dashed out from a mountain peak in front of Lu Ming. It was a burly elder who was holding a crystal ball in his hand. At this moment, the crystal ball was flashing and reflecting light. You've really worn out your iron shoes in a long search, but you found it without any effort. The burly old man laughed and threw a punch at Lu Ming. A terrifying fist force came crushing toward Lu Ming. Boom, boom, boom. The fist force had yet to arrive, but it brought with it a terrifying wave that pressed down on Lu Ming, making him hold his breath. Lu Ming exerted all his strength and slashed with his sword. Buzz! The combat sword and the fist force collided. The combat sword shook violently. Lu Ming felt a violent force surging towards him. He could not help but retreat backward, his chi and blood churning. Third-level Void God realm is indeed powerful. Lu Ming steadied his body, his expression grave. With his current combat strength, he couldn't deal with a third-level Void God Realm existence. Unless his cultivation base broke through to the 3-star Heavenly Emperor realm and the battle formula doubled his combat power, he would not be able to compete with a third-level Void God Realm expert. The moment Lu Ming stopped, the two people behind him caught up and surrounded him. Two of them were at the third level of the Void God Realm, and one was at the second level of the Void God Realm. Hee hee kid, let's see how you're going to escape this time. The one-horned man sneered. Lu Ming frowned. He was no match for the two third-level Void God-level powerhouses. He was about to use Kong Long to threaten them. With Kong Long in his hands, he did not believe that the other party would dare to make a move. Kill! However, at this moment, the burly man with messy hair made his move. He was very decisive. A long spear appeared in his hand. A terrifying spear radiance shot out with a terrifying whistling sound and pierced towards Lu Ming. He did not give Lu Ming any chance to react. Lu Ming could only wave his sword to block. Clang! The combat sword and the long spear collided and Lu Ming retreated rapidly. Kill! Kill! The burly elder and the one-horned man also made their moves and charged toward Lu Ming. The old man's fist force was astonishing. He was wearing a pair of gloves on his hands, which were clearly divine artifacts. Every punch was terrifying. Lu Ming tried his best to block a few moves. His body was in great pain as if it was about to split open. However, just as Lu Ming was at a complete disadvantage, a sudden change occurred. The man with messy hair suddenly changed the direction of his spear. He was no longer attacking Lu Ming but the burly elder instead. The burly old man had never thought that the other party would suddenly attack him. He had not been prepared at all. The long spear pierced through the old man's forehead and the old man died. This scene not only stunned Lu Ming but also the one-horned burly man. Then he roared, "Songam, what are you doing? Kill!" The reply to the horned man was the disheveled-haired man's cold shout. He took advantage of the situation and pulled out his long spear, sweeping it across and hitting the horned man. The horned man screamed as his body was split into two. "Go down and find the answer yourself," the big man with messy hair said coldly. Then he thrust his spear again and killed the one-horned man. It happened so suddenly that the burly elder and the horned man were killed by the burly man with messy hair in an instant. Lu Ming retreated and was on guard. He was very curious as to why the other party would suddenly kill each other. The burly man with disheveled hair looked at Lu Ming with a complicated look in his eyes. He seemed to be reminiscing about the past. After a moment of silence, he said, "You're from the Heaven Realm, right?" Chapter 2573 Mysterious Woman. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming was sincerely grateful. "No need to thank me. You carry the hope of the Heaven Realm on your back. I really hope that you can get out of this danger." Song Imo smiled. Senior, how can I break the restriction on your body? Junior has mastered the Tao of a sovereign and might be able to help break the restriction. Lu Ming said. And NBSP, his Tao of domination was extremely profound and might work. You've actually mastered the Tao of a ruler? Song Imo was shocked. Even in the primal universe, there weren't many people who had mastered the Tao of a ruler. Every single one of them was a peerless genius. Lu Ming could actually control such power. Ha, good, you really are the hope of the Heaven Realm. Song Imo laughed out loud, her face was full of smiles. After a while, Song Imo said, "However, your cultivation is too low. The scowl on my body was personally placed by the Hall Master of the Origin Luo Palace. Even if you have mastered the ruler's Tao, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until you reach the true G. D realm before you can remove our seal." True G. Derailin? Lu Ming muttered. Indeed, it was not that simple. If it was that simple, then the ancestor of technique would probably be able to help them resolve it in secret. Go, but be careful. I'll find a way to lure away some of the people from the Yuan Luo Palace nearby. Song Imo said, "Senior, Lu Ming will remember your kindness today. If Lu Ming manages to escape danger, he'll definitely come back to save you in the future." Lu Ming cupped his fists, his gaze determined. "All right, I believe you." Song Emo smiled. Then, Lu Ming used his movement technique and turned into a ray of light, leaving the place. After Lu Ming left, Song Emo destroyed all traces of the crime scene and left the place. After flying for some distance, Lu Ming landed on the ground and ran along the ground. After all, he would be a big target if he flew in the air. Moreover, Lu Ming did not have a fixed direction. He would head east and west at times, zigzagging in order to avoid being detected by the people from the Origin Luo Palace. Although it would be slower, it was at least safe. Lu Ming followed the map given by Song Emo and headed towards the stellar iron mine. The people from the Yuan Luo Palace could only capture Lu Ming's approximate location with the crystal ball. They could not pinpoint his exact location. Now that Lu Ming was moving at a high speed and his direction was constantly changing, it was more difficult for the other party to capture his precise position. Therefore, Lu Ming did not encounter any experts from the Yuan Luo Palace. However, the area of the shadowed star was too large. Lu Ming's speed was slow to begin with. It took him more than 2 months to reach the vicinity of the stellar iron mink. Their souls will be heavily restricted, and they can only listen to their orders. Otherwise, they will suffer a fate worse than death. As she said this, Song Mo's eyes revealed a hint of ferocity. And it's actually like this. Lu Ming also shouted coldly. Since ancient times, almost all the DS that walked out of the Heaven Realm and the Primordial Realm were controlled by the Origin Net Palace and became their slaves, death warriors. If there's any danger, let us do it. If things don't go well, they can control the restrictions and torture us. As for us, we can't escape at all. Once we leave a certain range of the Yuan Luo Palace, the restriction will activate, and we'll be better off dead. Song Emo said again. Towards the end, she was filled with helplessness and desolation. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. He could understand Song Mo's feelings. In the Heaven Realm and the evil D Realm, they had reached the D Realm and were almost at the peak. They had come to the primal universe with great ambition, wanting to break through to a higher realm. However, in reality, they had become the slaves of the Yuan Luo Palace. How sad was this? You must be cultivating the nomological system, right? I've met a few DS who walked out of the Heaven Realm and cultivated the nomological system. They cultivated a small world, but once they came to the primeval universe, their small world would merge with the primeval universe after a year. You have to escape from the underworld star within a year. Otherwise, you will definitely be found by the experts of the Origin Luo Palace. Song Emo said, Senior, do you have any ideas? Lu Ming asked. There are only 2 ways to leave the underworld star. One is to take the SPCE teleportation formation, and the other is to take the SPCE battleship. But now, everyone on the entire planet is looking for you, and the teleportation arrays are being guarded by terrifying experts. If you go, you will be discovered. As for the starship, it's extremely precious and rare. I don't have one either. Song Emo also frowned. Lu Ming was silent. The current situation was really not good. He had originally wanted to go to the teleportation formation to try and see if he could sneak through it. But now, the other party could capture the Heaven Realm aura on him. If he went, he would only be walking into a trap and die. What should I do? Lu Ming also frowned. Now, I can only try my luck. Song Emo said suddenly after a moment of silence. Try my luck. Lu Ming was puzzled. Not bad. Song Emo nodded and said, over the years, most of the DS from our Heaven Realm have been controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace. However, one person managed to escape from the control of the Yuan Luo Palace. You might have heard of him. The people of the Heaven Realm call him the Ancestor of Technique. Ancestor of Technique. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He had naturally heard of the Ancestor of Technique. He was a legendary figure in the Heaven Realm. The Ancestor of Technique was a rare genius. At the end of the Primordial Era, the Ancestor of Technique came out of nowhere and created the nomological cultivation system. He also allowed the nomological cultivation system to expand rapidly. In the end, the nomological cultivation system even defeated the primordial cultivation system and became the mainstream cultivation system in the heaven realm. The ancestor of technique's entire life could be written into a legend. Later on, when the ancestor of technique's cultivation reached the demi-G. D level, he left the heaven realm. The heavenly realm's heavenly thunder emperor was one of the ancestor of technique's disciples. The ancestor of technique broke away from the control of the Yuan Luo Palace and took risks to train outside. In the end, he stepped into the true G. D realm and returned to the chaotic astral river. He established a force and gathered many experts to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming nodded. Anyone from the heaven realm would want to destroy the Yuan Luo Palace after knowing the truth. It was normal for them to fight with the Yuan Luo Palace after they had successfully cultivated the nomological laws. All these years, the ancestor of technique's power has been growing stronger and stronger, and he has been fighting against the origin Luo Palace for a long time. There is a stellar iron mine on the underworld star that produces precious stellar iron. Some time ago, I heard that someone from the ancestor of technique's power attacked that stellar iron mine. If you go to the stellar iron mine and are lucky enough to meet the people from the ancestor of technique's force, you can leave the darkness star with them. This is the only way now. You take this. Song Imo waved her hand and a jade talisman flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming reached out and took it. He scanned it with his spiritual senses and realized that it was a huge map. This is the map of the dark underworld star. Follow the map on it and you will be able to accurately find the location of the stellar iron ore. I can't stay with you for too long, or else I will be easily exposed. Song Imo said. Swipe left to continue. Chapter 2574 Righteous Army, Let's Go. Lu Ming turned around and left, increasing his speed to the maximum. He thought that the woman had come to help and it would be dangerous if he stayed. The woman was surprised. She thought that Lu Ming would try his best to hold her back when the experts from the stellar iron mine noticed her and rushed over. She did not expect Lu Ming to run faster than her. Is he not from the Yuan Luo Palace? The woman thought to herself, and then her figure moved, leaving the place. Not long after they left, a few figures appeared at the place where they had just fought. Looking at the ravines on the ground, one of the old men revealed a sinister sneer. It seems like the righteous army hasn't given up and is still lingering nearby. Hee, we've captured their people, so they naturally want to save them. Then we'll just wait to capture them all in one fell swoop. Another old woman sneered. In a flash, the few of them disappeared. Lu Ming ran for more than 100,000 miles before he stopped and found a place to rest. He'll observe for a while. If it doesn't work, he'll have to find a hidden place on the underworld star and merge the small world with the primal universe. Lu Ming pondered. Although there was a huge risk of being discovered by the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace, there was no other way. After resting for 2 days, Lu Ming headed in the direction of the stellar iron ore. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. Lu Ming had walked for a while when he heard the sound of intense fighting ahead. It was obvious that someone was fighting. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He then restrained his aura and leaned over carefully. 3 middle-aged men were attacking a woman. It's her. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The woman who was being attacked was the beautiful woman who had attacked Lu Ming previously. At this moment, the woman was surrounded by 3 burly men and was in a critical situation. Among the 3 burly men, 2 of them were at the 2nd level of the Void G. D realm, while the other one had reached the 3rd level of the Void G. D realm. Although the woman was strong, she was no match for the 3 of them. A little girl from the Jianghu army. Not bad. She's pretty enough. I can take her down and enjoy her. The 3rd level Void G. D realm burly man used an iron rod and waved it, creating loud rumbles and shocking power. With one strike, the woman's body trembled and she was sent flying. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her face turned pale. D from the Yuan Luo Palace. The woman gritted her teeth and tried her best to run to the side, but the 3 men were tightly holding her, making it difficult for her to escape. So she's not from the Yuan Luo Palace, but from the righteous army. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was getting closer and closer to the 1-year period. There were less than 8 months left. At this point, Lu Ming was even more careful. This was because there was a terrifying expert in the stellar iron mine. Without a doubt, there was definitely an existence above 7th level Void G. Oh, D realm. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. Lu Ming concealed his aura and approached the stellar iron ore carefully, planning to check out the situation. This area was an endless mountain range. There were huge mountains everywhere that reached into the clouds. Lu Ming hid in one of the mountains and looked into the distance. In the distance, there were mountains and a huge mine vein. There were many figures mining there, and some experts were patrolling. There was nothing unusual. Senior Song, the people from the Ancestor of Techniques faction came to attack this mine. But now, a few months have passed, said. Are the people from the Ancestor of Techniques still here? Even if they are, how can I find them? Will they attack again? Lu Ming pondered and many thoughts flashed through his mind. He decided to wait nearby. Next, Lu Ming waited near the stellar iron ore. However, he did not stay in one position all the time. Instead, he kept changing his position to avoid being discovered by the other party. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed, said. However, there was no movement at all. The stellar iron ore had been operating peacefully. Could it be that the Ancestor of Techniques people have already left? Lu Ming frowned. Time was getting shorter and shorter. Not long after, Lu Ming changed his direction again and carefully headed to another mountain peak. All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt a chill in his heart. He could sense that danger was approaching. Lu Ming took a step forward and his body suddenly shifted 100 meters to the right. A ray of sword light landed on the spot where Lu Ming had just landed, cutting a deep trench on the ground. You actually dodged my sword, not bad. A crisp voice was heard. Lu Ming turned around and saw a woman. This woman's skin was like jade, and her facial features were exquisite. She was an absolute beauty. She had a thick ponytail and was dressed in martial attire. She held a long sword in her hand and looked rather heroic. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Did the people of the Yuan Luo Palace find out? Buzz. Lu Ming retreated quickly. At the same time, he constantly cast the battle symbol art, hoping to trigger the double combat power of the battle symbol art. A mere transformation void martial stage wants to escape in front of me? Stay here. The woman shouted. Her figure was like a fleeting shadow as she rushed toward Lu Ming. With a wave of her long sword, a dazzling sword light slashed toward Lu Ming. The combat sword appeared in Lu Ming's hands and he slashed continuously. Bang, bang, bang. A concentrated explosion sounded. Lu Ming's arm went numb and he retreated quickly. What powerful battle strength! Lu Ming was slightly shocked. This woman's cultivation was only at first-tier virtual G level, but her divine power was condensed and strong. Her attack power was shocking and she could actually suppress Lu Ming. Alter forcing Lu Ming back, the woman charged at him again. She waved her long sword and hundreds of sword lights burst out, shrouding Lu Ming. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming finally activated the double combat power of the battle character formula. His combat sword shook and rays of sword light burst out, clashing with the woman. Clang, clang. The speed of their attacks was shockingly fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. After dozens of exchanges, the two were both pushed back hundreds of meters. They were evenly matched. Could it be a genius from the Yuan Luo Palace? Lu Ming thought in his heart. Now, he had activated the double combat strength of the battle formula. His combat strength was very close to the 3rd level of the Void G. D realm, and he could kill people at the 2nd level of the Void G. D realm. However, this woman, who was only at the 1st level of the Void G. D realm, was able to fight him to a draw. Lu Ming was shocked, but he did not know that the woman's heart was turmoil. How is that possible? How can be so powerful? The woman roared in her heart. Lu Ming's cultivation level was only at the transformation void martial stage and was far from the Void G. D stage. However, his combat strength was so strong that he could fight with her. It was simply unbelievable. The Tao of a sovereign. The power he controls is actually the Tao of a sovereign. There's actually a genius on the Tao of a sovereign on Shadowed Star. I can't believe the Yuan Luo Palace has such a genius. I must get rid of him. Many thoughts flashed through the woman's mind. Then, a ruthless look appeared in her eyes. She gritted her teeth, raised her long sword, and charged at Lu Ming again. However, the moment the woman made her move, their expressions changed. In the distance, a few beams of light rose from the stellar iron mine. It was obvious that the battle here had been discovered. Chapter 2575 Escape Plan, You Have a Way? The young woman's face was full of doubt, obviously not believing him. Lu Ming had a way to save the people of the righteous army and take back the interplanetary warship? How was that possible? Although Lu Ming was terrifyingly talented, his cultivation level was still low. At most, his combat strength was on par with hers. What could she do? One should know that there were at least a few 9th-tier virtual D-level powerhouses in the stellar iron ore. As for the 7th-tier and 8th-tier virtual D-level powerhouses, Lu Ming would probably be killed with one slap if he went there. Sometimes, you don't need to rely on force to save people. Let me show you something and you'll know. Lu Ming smiled. He waved his hand and a person appeared in his hand. This man was the young master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long. I'm alone. At first, the young woman was stunned, but then her beautiful pupils suddenly enlarged. This is the young master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long? The young woman gasped. She had never expected to meet Kong Long here. You've seen it before? Lu Ming asked. I've seen him a few times. The woman said. She seemed to have thought of something, and a bright smile appeared on her face. Kong Long had been locked up by Lu Ming for more than half a year and was already in a daze. He was stunned for a while before he could see the situation clearly. Brat, you're dead. I'm telling you you're dead. Let me go, or I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left. Tong Shi, what are you doing here? When Kong Long first saw Lu Ming, he shouted at the top of his lungs. Then, his gaze swept past the young lady and he was stunned. Kong Long, I didn't expect you to end up like this. He looks like I'm quite lucky. Tong Shi sized up Kong Long and sneered. What are you trying to do? Kong Long's face paled. You speak too much nonsense. Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and kept Kong Long. My cultivation isn't high enough. Even with Kong Long, I'm afraid I'll be killed instantly if I encounter an expert at or above the 7th level of the Void D realm. However, you have a 9th level Void D realm expert. If he uses Kong Long to exchange for the people of the Righteous Sky Army and the Starry Sky Warship, he'll have full confidence. Lu Ming said. This was his plan. If he could exchange Kong Long for the people of the Righteous Heaven Army and the Interplanetary Warship, he could leave Shadowed Star and owe the Righteous Heaven Army a favor. Why not? Alright, if I succeed this time, well, definitely be grateful. Tong Shier's face was also filled with joy. By the way, Tong Shi, what's your name? Tong Shier asked. Lu Ming. Lu Ming answered. Brother Lu, let's go. It'll bring you to meet the people of our Jingtian army. Tong Shier said. It was really like he had worn out his iron shoes in a long search, but found it without any effort. Song Imo had mentioned before that the power created by the ancestor of technique was called the Righteous Army. Since this woman was from the Righteous Army, she could not die at the hands of the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming began to cast the battle formula, triggering the double combat strength. He was lucky this time. It only took 3 tricks and Lu Ming's combat strength was doubled. Lu Ming approached carefully. He suddenly burst out and charged forward. Who's there? As soon as Lu Ming made his move, the other party noticed him. A 2nd-level Void D realm burly man berated him and turned around to attack. However, the other party had attacked in a hurry and could not block Lu Ming. He was sent flying by Lu Ming's sword. Then, Lu Ming continued to step forward and strike with his sword. Blood splattered everywhere. The burly man was killed by Lu Ming. After killing the burly man, Lu Ming charged towards another second-level Void G. Oh, D-level burly man. It's him! The young woman's eyes lit up when she saw Lu Ming. Her body flashed rapidly as she dodged the attack of the third-level virtual G. Oh, D-level powerhouse. Without the 2 second-level Void G. Oh, D-realm men's attacks, the woman's pressure was greatly reduced. She dodged a few of her opponent's attacks, and her situation was much better. Brat, you're looking for death. The third-level Void G. Oh, D-realm burly man roared and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and left. He did not want to confront the other party head-on. The burly man roared and chased after the woman, but she had already run far away. Lu Ming did not linger in the battle. He sprinted at top speed and then made an R in the air, chasing after the woman. After the two big men chased for a while, they seemed to have some apprehensions and didn't dare to continue chasing. Instead, they stopped and sent out a message. Lu Ming followed the young lady and ran for more than 100,000 miles. At this moment, the young woman stopped and looked at Lu Ming. Although you saved me, you don't have to keep following me. What do you want? You're from the righteous army? Lu Ming asked. The woman's expression changed slightly. That's right. I'm very curious. Who are you? The people from the Yuan Luo Palace seem to want to deal with you too. You're really from the righteous army. I'm from the same hometown as the ancestor of technique. Can you take me to see him? Lu Ming was overjoyed. Ancestor of technique? Who is it? The woman frowned in confusion. And you don't know about the ancestor of technique? The ancestor of technique was the one who created the righteous army. Lu Ming said, You mean the general? You're from the same hometown as the general? The woman was puzzled. Yes, it's true. Now the entire dark underworld star is hunting me down. Lu Ming said. Regardless of whether you are from the same hometown as the general, it is a fact that you and the Yuan Luo Palace are enemies. The enemy of an enemy is a friend. However, it is impossible for me to bring you to the general now. The woman shook her head and sighed. What's going on? Lu Ming had a bad premonition. Last time, some of us came to attack the Star Iron Mine on the Dark Underworld Star, planning to take away a batch of their iron ores. However, we didn't expect that the other party had set up an ambush in advance. A part of us died in battle, a part of us were captured by the other party, and only a part of us managed to escape. The senior who controlled the Starry Sky battleship has also been captured by the enemy. Now, the Starry Sky battleship is in their hands. If we want to escape from the Underworld Star, we have to rescue the righteous army and take back the Starry Sky battleship. The woman said. This, Lu Ming was really speechless. It wasn't Kazi for him to meet the people of the righteous army, but they ended up like him, trapped and unable to escape. Now, there are many experts from the Yuan Luo Palace in the Stellar Iron Mine. They are waiting for us to attack so that they can catch us all in one fell swoop. I have been looking for news in this area. The woman said. Lu Ming finally understood why the woman attacked him the moment she saw him. She probably thought he was from the Yuan Luo Palace and wanted to capture him for information. What's the cultivation level of the strongest expert in the Stellar Iron Mine? Lu Ming pondered for a moment and asked. 9th level Void G. Oh, D realm. The woman said. Then what cultivation level did your people who escaped have? Lu Ming asked again. There's also a 9th level virtual G. Oh, D, but there's only one of them. On the other hand, there are several 9th level virtual G. Oh, D level powerhouses in the Stellar Iron Mine. Therefore, we're no match for them at all. The woman said. There's also a 9th level ethereal G. Oh, D realm expert. That's enough. I can help you save your people and take back the interplanetary warship. Lu Ming burst out laughing. Swipe left to continue. Chapter 2576 Crossing the Starry Sky. Alright, there's no time to waste. I'll set off to save them now. You two follow me. Deputy General Sun took Kong Long and looked at the two men. The two men were at the 8th level of the Void G. Oh, D realm. They were the two with the highest cultivation apart from Deputy General Sun. Immediately, The three of them carried Kong Long and flew away. Lu Ming did not need to care about what happened after that. He believed that Deputy General Sun and the rest would definitely have a way to successfully exchange for the people from the Righteous Sky Army and the interplanetary warship. Kong Long was the young master of the Yuanluo Palace. The people of the palace would not dare to reject the exchange of hostages. Lu Ming and the rest only had to wait quietly. In less than a day, Deputy General Sun and the others returned with more than 20 other people. It was a success. Lu Ming knew that Deputy General Sun and the rest had succeeded. Let's go, we have to leave the underworld star. The people of the Origin Luo Palace will definitely hunt us down. Deputy General Sun said. With a wave of his hand, a small boat appeared in the shape of the boat was very strange. It did not look like a boat, but rather similar to the sea-breaking shuttle that Lu Ming had seen in the Yuan continent. Both ends were pointed, forming the shape of a shuttle. It was pitch black in color and had strange runes carved all over its surface. Lu Ming knew that this was probably an interplanetary warship, a warship that could travel in the universe. Lu Ming's heart was burning. The price of such a warship would definitely be astonishingly high. This was because true DS could only stay in the universe for a short period of time. They were unable to cross the universe. Only sky celestials had the ability to travel across the starry sky, from one planet to another. From this, it could be seen how precious this kind of starry sky battleship was. If he could have one, he would be able to travel freely in the universe. As soon as the interplanetary warship appeared in the sky, it expanded rapidly. All of you come in. Deputy General Sun said. Buzz. Buzzard. Buzz. Everyone's figures flickered as they rushed into the interplanetary warship. Deputy General Sun was the last to enter. After he entered the Starry Sky battleship, the Starry Sky battleship turned into a rainbow light and shot into the sky at an astonishing speed. The Starry Sky battleship shot into S.P. like a beam of light. Very quickly, it broke through the atmosphere and headed towards the outer sea. On the walls of the starship, there were pieces of transparent crystals. Through the crystals, one could see the outside. Lu Ming looked outside through the crystal. Then, her figure flashed and she headed in a direction. Lu Ming followed Tong Shi closely. Neither of them flew in the air. Instead, they ran on the ground. However, their speed was also very fast. After running for a few hours, the two of them arrived at a rather remote canyon. Who is it? Stop! A middle-aged man shouted as soon as the two of them arrived. He appeared in front of them and blocked them. Uncle Lu, it's me. Tong Shi said. When the middle-aged man saw that it was Tong Shi, he smiled. Then, he glanced at Lu Ming, and a hint of wariness appeared in his eyes. Who is he? He asked. He couldn't help but be on his guard. This was Planked Underworld, the territory of the Yuan Luo Palace. The Righteous Army and the Yuan Luo Palace were sworn enemies. The remaining members of the Righteous Army were all here. Now that he saw a strange man, he naturally had to be on guard. Uncle Lu, his name is Lu Ming, he is also an enemy of the Yuan Luo Palace. He has a way to help us save Uncle W. G and the others. Tong Shi said. I'll has a way to save her? The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with suspicion. He could tell at a glance that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. Such a cultivation was not worth mentioning in his eyes. How could he possibly have a way to save their companions? Don't be fooled by him. He might be from the Yuan Luo Palace to win your trust. At this point, the middle-aged man's face turned ugly. If that was the case, they were all in danger. His body was already filled with cold killing intent, ready to attack at any time. Uncle Lu, he has the young master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long. Tong Shi hurriedly said. The young master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long? The middle-aged man's aura immediately weakened, and his face was filled with bewilderment. If Lu Ming really had Kong Long, he would definitely not be from the Yuan Luo Palace. Even if it was to capture them, he would not use Kong Long to risk his life. It was impossible. This was also the reason why Tong Shi could bring Lu Ming here without worry. That's right. Kong Long is in my book. Miss Shi has already read it. Lu Ming immediately told him his plan. Good. The brother Lu Ming, I misunderstood you just now. I'm sorry. The middle-aged man laughed in embarrassment. I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled. Under such circumstances, it was normal for the other party to be more cautious. I'll take you to see Deputy General Sun, the middle-aged man said. Then he led Lu Ming and Tong Shi into the depths of the canyon. Deep in the canyon, Lu Ming saw a group of people. There were about 30 of them. They were all experts, and all of them were at the 3rd level of the Void D realm or above. Among these people, Tong Shi Heir's cultivation was the weakest. Deputy General Sun, the middle-aged man, and Tong Shi bowed to one of the gray-robed elders. This gray-robed old man was Deputy General Sun. The highest position in the Righteous Heaven Army was the general, who was also the ancestor of technique. Below the general, there were some deputy generals, and below them, there were the generals and deputy generals. This old man was a deputy general and a 9th-level Void D realm existence. When the people in the canyon saw Lu Ming, they were all on guard. However, when Tong Shi and the others said that Lu Ming had Kong Long, they were all overjoyed. Lu Ming waved his hand and Kong Long appeared. It's really Kong Long. I've seen him once. We're saved. When the righteous army saw Kong Long, they were all ecstatic. He was no longer on guard against Lu Ming. Kong Long's face turned pale when he saw so many righteous army soldiers. Al cowered and did not dare to shout anymore. Senior, I'll have to trouble you. Lu Ming pass, said Kong Long to Deputy General Sun. Lu Ming, if we can escape this time, you can state any conditions you have. Deputy General Sun laughed. Junior's condition is very simple. I just want to leave with you all, and then I need a place to settle my family and friends. Lu Ming said. That's easy. Our Jingtian army has occupied more than a dozen life planets. We don't have much else, but we have a huge territory. You can choose whatever you want. Deputy General Sun grinned and took Kong Long. 3 pounds. Chapter 2577. Meeting the ancestor of technique. After arriving at the living room, Lu Ming and Tong Shi chatted casually and waited. Not long after, a shadow flashed outside the living room, and a figure suddenly appeared. It was a man who looked to be in his 30s. He was wearing a black robe and had a handsome and elegant appearance, giving off a gentle feeling. Shi greets the general. When she saw this young man, Tong Shi hurriedly stood up and bowed. This man was the general of the Righteous Heaven Army, the ancestor of technique of the Heaven Realm, the legendary figure who had founded the cultivation system of the nomological laws. No need to be so polite. I'm here to meet my fellow villager. The ancestor of technique laughed and walked in. Lu Ming greets the ancestor of technique. Lu Ming also stood up and bowed. It was his first time meeting this legendary figure and he was very excited. No need to be so polite, no need to be so polite. The ancestor of technique waved his hand and a gentle force lifted Lu Ming up. It's been many years since someone called me by this title. In the future, you can call me general like everyone else. The ancestor of technique smiled and sized Lu Ming up carefully. He has the aura of the Heaven Realm. He's indeed from the Heaven Realm. He has even cultivated the system of laws and condensed a small world. The ancestor of technique murmured. He looked at Lu Ming with an increasingly friendly gaze. Lu Ming, how did you get out of the Heaven Realm? What happened in the Heaven Realm? I once sneaked into the dark underworld star, but the passage to the Heaven Realm has been sealed, so I can't even get in. The ancestor of technique asked a few questions. It was clear that he was not calm either. Lu Ming understood that the ancestor of technique must have returned to the shadowed star after his cultivation had improved. However, the passage was sealed by ancestral dragon and patriarch of prison suppression with heaven suppression talismans. The ancestor of technique was too strong. and if he broke the seal by force, he would destroy the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D. realm. Senior, it's like this. Immediately, Lu Ming gave a brief account of what had happened in the heaven realm and the evil G.O.D. realm. I see. After the ancestor of technique heard this, he nodded and sighed. Senior, I've brought out most of the divine beasts and humans in the heaven realm and the primordial realm. In a few months, our small world will merge with the primeval universe. We need a place to settle these living beings. Lu Ming said. That's easy. I'll pick a place for you immediately. The ancestor of technique laughed. The true heaven star was astonishingly large, several times larger than the dark underworld star. He could see that the land behind him was shrinking. Very soon, a blue planet appeared below. Is this the dark underworld star? It was the first time that he saw a planet in front of him. Lu Ming was shocked. In the heaven realm, such a wondrous scene could not be seen. The huge underworld star was spinning slowly in the universe. In Lu Ming's vision, smaller. Became smaller, and one day, it'll come back to the dark underworld star. One day, it'll take back the heaven realm and the primordial realm. Senior Song Mo and the other seniors from the heaven realm, I will set you free one day. The Yuanluo Palace has treated the people of the heaven realm as medicinal herbs. One day, I will flatten the Yuanluo Palace. Lu Ming secretly swore in his heart. His eyes were determined. The underworld star became smaller and smaller in Lu Ming's eyes. In the end, it became a small black dot and disappeared. Lu Ming looked at other places and sighed in his heart. Beautiful, too beautiful. The starry sky in the universe was simply too beautiful. The stars were dazzling. And they were currently traveling through the universe. The primeval universe is the real world. It's vast and boundless. Looking at the starry sky, Lu Ming felt his heart open. The heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D. realm were still too small. They were only small kiliocosm and could not be compared to the primeval universe. The primeval universe was too vast and boundless. There were countless races and experts. Those legend-rank experts were able to roam the universe freely and were immortal. Lu Ming suddenly felt a sense of pride in his heart. He felt his blood boiling. One day, he would also become an expert who could dominate the universe. Although he was still far away now, when Lu Ming had just started cultivating, he was still far away from being a peak expert in the heaven realm. But in the end, Lu Ming still achieved it. Lu Ming had a feeling that the desolate universe would be more exciting than the heaven realm and the primordial realm. Now, they were going to the headquarters of the righteous heavenly army, the righteous heavenly star. The underworld star was very far away from the true heaven star. One could imagine that the surface area of a single dark underworld star was 10,000 times larger than the total surface area of the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D. realm. However, the underworld star was just a speck of dust in the universe. One could only imagine how great the distance between different planets was. Even if the speed of an interplanetary warship was amazing, it would still take several months to travel. In the Starry Sky battleship, Lu Ming would occasionally cultivate and chat with Tong Shi and Deputy General Sun. He had also learned a lot about the common knowledge of the desolate universe. At the same time, when the people of the righteous army found out that Lu Ming came from a small kiliocosm and was from the same hometown as the general of the righteous army, their attitude towards Lu Ming changed completely. They treated Lu Ming as one of their own. A few months pass, said in the blink of an eye. A huge planet appeared in front of them. This planet was the True Heaven Star. True Heaven Star was named after the True Heaven Army occupied this place, so it was naturally not called this before. What a huge planet! From afar, Lu Ming could feel that the True Heaven Star was astonishingly huge. Its size was at least a few times larger than the Shadowed Star. It gave a strong visual impact. The starship slowed down and slowly approached True Sky Star. Slowly, Lu Ming could see mountains, rivers, and even huge cities on the True Heaven Star. Not long after, they entered the atmosphere of True Sky Star. At this time, Deputy General Sun put away the interplanetary warship, and they appeared in the air. What a dense divine qi! Lu Ming took a deep breath and felt that the divine qi here was extremely rich. Was more than twice as rich as on the underworld star. Such a cultivation environment was simply too good. Let's go! Deputy General Sun took the lead and flew toward a mountain peak. Lu Ming and the rest followed. This mountain peak was extremely wide, and on top of it, there were many palaces that were majestic and magnificent. Between the mountain peaks, experts were constantly flying around. So many experts! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. At a glance, he could see that most of the city's virtual G.O.D level existences were there. There were only a few below virtual G.O.D level. However, Lu Ming also understood that this should be the headquarters of the righteous army. There would naturally be many experts here. There would definitely not be so many experts in other places. Soon they arrived at a square. Bring Lu Ming to the living room and wait. I'll report to the general. He'll be very happy to know that a fellow villager has come. Deputy General Sun said. All right. Tong Shi-er nodded, then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, come with me. Let's go to the living room. All right. Lu Ming nodded and followed Tong Shi-er. Chapter 2578 World Merging. Moreover, some of these people had been stuck in the demi-G.O.D realm for countless years. It was impossible for them to break through in the heaven realm. The heaven realm's conditions weren't enough for someone to break through to the martial G.O.D realm. At most, they could only cultivate to the demi-G.O.D realm. Their foundation and their comprehension had already reached their limits. At this moment, the moment he arrived at the desolate universe, the moment he arrived at the true heaven star, he had an impulse to break through. Let's release them first and settle them down. It won't be too late to break through after the small world fuses with the primeval universe. Yes. Immediately, Lu Ming and a few people who cultivated small worlds released the divine beasts and humans inside. People kept appearing on the plane. Not long after, a dense crowd of humans and divine beasts appeared. Their numbers were immeasurable. This was the entire heaven realm and primordial realm's people and divine beasts, so their numbers were naturally terrifying. However, this plane was really too big. It was more than 10 times the size of the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D realm. It could easily accommodate them. Everyone were safe. This is the true Bevan Star, the primeval universe. We can settle down here and build our city. Lu Ming's voice rang in everyone's ears. Is this the primal universe? G.O.D, what kind of energy this? It's much stronger than original Qi. My cultivation feels like it's about to break through. I'm just taking a breath. I feel like I can strengthen my body and achieve a breakthrough in cultivation even if I don't cultivate in this environment. Countless humans and G.O.D beasts felt the environment here and were extremely shocked. The cultivation environment of True Sky Star was much better than that of the heaven realm and the primordial realm. It was like heaven and earth. They were right. Even if one didn't cultivate here, one's cultivation could still be improved. This was especially true for some low-level martial artists. For example, those below the martial royal realm felt that their cultivation was improving with every breath they took. Their bodies were also being tempered and constantly becoming stronger. Their feelings were not wrong. In the primeval universe, any creature, regardless of whether they had cultivated or not, could reach the martial royal realm as long as they were adults. In other words, in the primeval universe, any farmer had the cultivation of a martial emperor. This was the divine realm. It was incomparable to the heaven realm. The environment here was too good. Any living being that stayed here for a long time would automatically evolve in all aspects and transform. It was a place for the living beings of the heaven realm and the primordial realm to relax. Follow me. The ancestor of technique was swift and decisive in his work. With a wave of his sleeve, a wave of energy swept Lu Ming up and flew out. The ancestor of technique's speed was extremely shocking. The scenery around them kept flying past. Not long after, they had flown far away and arrived at a Sland. Sland stretched as far as the eye could see, and there was no end to it at all. Sland is wide and open, and its area is at least 10 times the size of the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil D Realm. Your small world can merge here, the ancestor of technique said. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming was also very excited. Finally, he had found a way out of the Heaven Realm. He had finally won a chance of survival and successfully escaped with everyone. Senior, please wait a moment. With that, Lu Ming had a thought and his figure appeared on a mountain peak in his small world. Here, the ancestral dragon, venerable Lord Sky Thunder, the Tan Longhorn Beetle, and the rest had been waiting for Lu Ming's news. At the same time, they were also prepared to fight to the death if there was any danger. The moment La Ming appeared, Zhu Long and the rest looked at him. Lu Ming, what's the situation now? If we really can't do it, well, just fight to the death. Everyone chimed in. Everyone, we have already left the dark underworld star. Lu Ming smiled. What? Have you left the dark underworld star? Zhu Long and the others were stunned for a moment, and then they were overjoyed. He had left the underworld star. Could it be that he had already escaped? We're safe. Also, it'll take you to see someone. With that, a force enveloped the ancestral dragon and the others, moving them out of the small world. The moment the ancestral dragon and the others appeared, they looked around. The next moment, they all focused on the ancestor of technique. After seeing the ancestor of technique, the ancestral dragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, and the others were stunned. Master? The Heavenly Thunder Emperor muttered to himself as if he had been dumbfounded. Then, he trembled with excitement. Disciple greets Master. After a long while, the Heavenly Thunder Emperor bowed down. Ancestor of technique, it's the ancestor of technique. At the same time, some people cried out in surprise. A portion of these people had existed since the archaic era. Some of them were even older than the ancestor of technique, so they naturally knew him. Now that he saw the ancestor of technique, he was shocked. The ancestor of technique had left the Heaven Realm a long time ago. He didn't expect to meet him here. Tenlei, it's been many years since we last met. It's time for you to make a breakthrough in your cultivation, he said. The ancestor of technique smiled. Ancestor of technique? The ancestral dragon muttered with a complicated gaze. When the ancestor of technique was still in the Heaven Realm, he had already been ordered to guard the Heaven Realm. When the ancestor of technique left the Heaven Realm, he naturally knew. Also, he knew that those people would be controlled by the Yuanluo Palace once they left the Heaven Realm, but he had no choice. He couldn't stop them or remind them. It was not until the prison-guarding patriarch went to the Bevan Realm and took out the heaven-suppressing seal that they joined forces and sealed the sage to the Heaven Realm. However, to his surprise, the ancestor of technique was not controlled by the Yuanluo Palace. It's like this. The ancestor of technique has created the righteous army to fight against the Yuanluo Palace. Lu Ming briefly told him about the ancestor of technique and how they came to the true Heaven Star. The general of the righteous army, the ancestral dragon and the others muttered. At this moment, they deeply understood that the ancestor of technique's current realm was far beyond what they could guess. It was probably shockingly high. Otherwise, how could they establish the righteous army and resist the Yuanluo Palace? Some of the people here were of the same generation as the ancestor of technique, and some of them were even older than him. But at this moment, all of their eyes were filled with respect. The path of cultivation was like this. The one who had reached the top came first, regardless of age. Since the ancestor of technique's cultivation was already far above them, they naturally could not look at him like they were of the same generation. The ancestor of technique's gaze swept across the crowd and he nodded slightly. He felt rather complicated. There were many familiar faces here. After so many years, he was quite moved to see so many familiar faces. Alright, you guys can stay here for now. I'll send someone to help you. If you need anything, you can let me know. The ancestor of technique said. With that, he turned into a beam of light and left this place. Is this the primal universe? What a dense divine chi. This kind of cultivation environment is truly shocking. I feel like I'm about to break through. Ilaha, me too. The moment the ancestor of technique left, everyone started to feel it. They were all shocked by the cultivation environment here. 23. Chapter 2579 Becoming G. Oh. DS one after another the heaven and earth returned to its peaceful state. The small worlds of all the people who cultivated the nomological laws system in the heaven realm and the primordial realm had fused with the Jiara. Sland. The area of this Jiara. Sland had also expanded a little, and the distance between some big cities had become further. Boom, boom. At this moment, several auras soared into the sky. It was extremely shocking. That is, break through to the War G. D level. Lu Ming's gaze flickered and he looked in the direction of the aura. Heavenly Thunder Emperor, Renegade Emperor. There were a total of 5 people, and their auras were getting stronger and stronger, reaching their peak. This was a sign of a breakthrough to the martial G. D realm. Lu Ming did not expect that the Heavenly Thunder Emperor and the others would also make a breakthrough at this time. However, it was normal when he thought about it. Venerable Lord Sky Thunder, Venerable Lord Rebellion, and the others had long become demig. Yes. With their ACCU, mulation over a long period of time, they could have broken through to the martial G. D realm. However, in the heaven realm, the conditions were limited, so it was difficult to succeed. And NBSP Huhu. The bodies of the 5 venerable sovereigns were like 5 vortexes, constantly absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. The divine chi in the world surged and gathered towards them. After a few days, their auras rose sharply. A layer of light covered the surface of their bodies like a flame. It was a burning divine fire. They had broken through to the first level of the void G. D realm. There's no heavenly tribulation. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, feeling a little surprised. He had discovered this situation a long time ago. During this period of time, too many people and divine beasts in the heaven realm and the primordial realm had broken through, but none of them had a heavenly tribulation. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm, breaking through to the martial emperor realm, martial saint realm, and martial emperor realm would all be accompanied by disasters. But here, there was nothing. In the heaven realm, there was also a terrifying heavenly tribulation when one broke through to the demi-G. D realm. Lu Ming had thought that there would be a heavenly tribulation when one broke through to the martial G. D realm. He did not expect that there was none. Perhaps this is the difference between the heaven realm and the primordial realm and the primeval universe. Lu Ming pondered. In the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G. D realm, the heavenly Tao was supreme. All heavenly tribulations were evolved from the heavenly Tao. Many talented people could easily cultivate to the rank of martial saint or martial supreme. Of course, it was not easy to reach the martial G. D realm. This was a barrier that stopped 99% of the creatures in the primeval universe. Everyone, let's get familiar with each other before we begin. Lu Ming's voice was heard again. Everyone familiarized themselves and got used to it. Then, Zhu Long and the others started to make arrangements. Everyone started build a city on the plain. Not long after, a group of experts came from the righteous heaven army, responsible for the safety of the many creatures in the heaven realm. After all, there were some living creatures in this Jiara. Sland. Although there were no terrifying existences, any living creature had the cultivation of the martial royal realm. They were a threat to most of the humans and divine beasts in the heaven realm. Following that, countless heaven realm beings began to get busy. One after another, huge and majestic cities were erected on the Jiara. Sland. At the same time, the righteous heaven army had formation experts to help them inscribe a formation. This way, as long as they stayed in the city, they would be safe. A few months pass, said in the blink of an eye. Countless living beings in the heaven realm settled down on this Sland. Hundreds of huge cities suddenly appeared in this boundless Sland. In the past few months, the cultivation of countless people in the heaven realm had skyrocketed and kept breaking through. Especially those with low cultivation, their breakthrough speed was even more shocking. For example, Lu Ming's parents, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, had rushed straight into the martial sage realm. Moreover, they were improving every day. There were countless living beings in the heaven realm. When they first came to such a place, they were bound to have a period of explosive growth. After their cultivation was high, their growth would be slow. It would take much longer for a martial emperor to level up. However, there were still many martial emperors who had broken through. The lower one's cultivation level, the easier it was to break through. On this day, a series of rumbling sounds came from Lu Ming's body. The 1-year period is up. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. It had been a year since he came to the desolate universe. The small world in his body was about to merge with the primeval universe. Lu Ming's body moved and he turned into a ray of light, appearing on an open plain. At this moment, countless people rushed out and came to the open plain. Like Lu Ming, they cultivated the nomological system and relined small worlds. At this moment, they had to integrate with the desolate universe. Buzz. Lu Ming's small world shook more and more violently and then flew out automatically. After the small world flew out, it landed on the GR. Sland and merged with the land. The area of the GR. Sland was rapidly expanding. Lu Ming felt a wave of weakness in his body. This was caused by the fusion of the small world and the primeval universe. Buzz. At this moment, the mountain and river diagram flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows and fused with the ground. As expected, even a grotto heaven treasure is no good. I can't keep it. Lu Ming sighed. The nature of grotto heaven treasures was the same as small worlds. They were not allowed to exist in the primal universe. In the primeval universe, except for some CE secret realms that were born naturally, the small worlds that were man-made and could allow living creatures to live were all not allowed to exist. This was how domineering the primeval universe was. It was the only one. However, spatial treasures like storage rings were fine. This kind of spatial treasure could only open up see and store things. Living beings could not survive in it. So it was fine. Fortunately, Lu Ming had stored all the treasures of the mountain and river diagram in his small world. In the heaven realm, all the living beings who had cultivated small worlds had merged with the earth. Ayala. At this moment, an extremely powerful energy poured into Lu Ming's body. He did not even need to refine it. This energy automatically transformed into world energy and master energy. The feeling of weakness disappeared quickly and Lu Ming was filled with energy again. This was the feedback from the primal universe. The primeval universe was fair. If his small world was taken away, there would be corresponding energy that would be fed back to him. Lu Ming felt that the world energy and the ruler's energy in his body were surging. His total energy did not. His cultivation level was still the same as before. It was just that the small world had disappeared and turned into the power of the world and the power of domination. That's good. It'll be easier for me to break through to the martial the realm in the future. Lu Ming smiled. In order to break through to the martial the realm, he had to combine all his energy into one. Even if the small world did not merge with the primeval universe, he would still have to find a way to merge everything into one in the future. However, that would be more troublesome. In this case, it would be more convenient for Lu Ming to break through to the battle the realm in the future. He would take fewer detours. 23. Chapter 2580 Zik Nianxing becomes D Xian Yanqing and Xian Nianjin's auras were too shocking. Even though they had already stabilized their cultivation in the void D realm, they were still shocked. Furthermore, this was not the end. Xian Yanging and Zik Nianjin's auras were still rising. As time passed, the two of them seemed to have turned into two suns. One was as black as ink, while the other was holy and perk. They were like two suns, one black and one white, hanging in the sky, illuminating the entire GRA. Sland. At this moment, the entire Sland and hundreds of giant cities could see the situation here. Such a commotion was too terrifying. Xiao Qing and Xian Yanjin's breakthrough is much more shocking than the others. Lu Ming also sighed in his heart. At that moment, Lu Ming could sense that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's auras were dozens of times stronger than the others. Furthermore, it was still getting deeper. Buzz. Not far from Lu Ming, a shadow flashed and a figure appeared. It was the ancestor of technique. Clearly, even the ancestor of technique was alarmed. It's transforming. It's constantly transforming. Is it controlling the divine-grade divine power? The ancestor of technique muttered. His eyes were filled with shock. And Nbisbu, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's attraction was getting stronger and stronger. Endless divine qi rolled towards the two, but it obviously couldn't keep up with the speed of their refining. Lu Ming's expression changed. He waved his hand and divine crystals appeared one after another. A total of 2,000 yuan. 1,000 yuan went to Xian Yanqing, and 1,000 yuan went to Xian Yanjuan. As soon as the divine crystals reached their bodies, they exploded one by one, turning into extremely dense divine qi that flew into their bodies and were absorbed. A day later, they had finished absorbing all 1,000 divine crystals. However, they didn't seem to want to stop. There are still 3,000 yuan left. I'll use them all. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and decided to throw out the remaining 3,000 divine crystals. However, at this moment, the ancestor of technique, who was not far away from Lu Ming, waved his hand and divine crystals flew out towards Zik Nianqing and Zik Nianjuan. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan and found out that there were a total of 6,000 divine crystals. Each of them had 3,000 divine crystals. Bang! Bang! These divine crystals also exploded one by one, turning into divine qi that was absorbed by the two. However, after a few days, the two of them still didn't stop cultivating. The ancestor of technique waved his hand again, and another 1,000 divine crystals flew out. This time, he finally had enough. However, that heavenly Tao was only the heavenly Tao of the heaven realm and the primordial realm. It had nothing to do with the primeval universe. Perhaps, there was no such thing as a heavenly tribulation in the primeval universe. Lu Ming smiled. This was good too. His parents' cultivation had been improving. It was only a matter of time before they broke through to the martial emperor realm. Without the heavenly tribulation, Lu Ming would be more a case. Congratulations, congratulations. Many people flew over to congratulate Venerable Lord Heavenly Thunder, Venerable Lord Rebellion, and the others for successfully breaking through to the martial D realm. Heavenly Thunder Emperor and the others were all smiling, unable to hide the excitement in their hearts. They had been trapped in the same realm for too long. In the past, it had been difficult for them to break through. Now that they had broken through, they suddenly felt like birds flying in the sky, and their hearts had opened up. Lu Ming also came forward to congratulate him. After a lively atmosphere, Lu Ming returned to his residence. Lu Ming was currently living in a newly built city. Xian Yanqing, Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, his few disciples, and his parents all lived in this city. Lu Ming entered a room and sat cross-legged. A piece of crystal appeared in his hand. This crystal was the size of a fist, and it was crystal clear. These crystals were called divine crystals, and they were made of pure divine qi. In Netherworld Mountain, the divine stone that Lu Ming obtained was also condensed from divine qi. However, that kind of divine stone could be said to be inferior to divine crystals. The divine qi contained in it could not be compared to divine crystals at all. Perhaps, tens of thousands of divine stones were only equivalent to one divine crystal. After all, Netherworld Mountain had been sealed in the heaven realm and the primordial realm. After a long time, its divine qi was no longer pure. The divine stones that it had condensed naturally could not compare to divine crystals. Divine crystals were the hard currency of the divine realm. They were divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and top grade. The divine crystals in Lu Ming's hands were low-grade divine crystals. One of them was equivalent to tens of thousands of divine stones. As for divine crystals of mid-grade and above, they were naturally even rarer and more precious. Lu Ming had killed 7 to 8 Void D realm experts when he invaded the Heaven Realm. On the Underworld Star, he had also killed a few Yuan Luo Palace experts. He had obtained some low-grade divine crystals from their storage rings. In total, there were more than 5,000 pieces. 5,000 low-grade divine crystals would be more than 100 million divine stones if they were exchanged for divine stones. As for exchanging it for supreme-grade raw gemstones, it was an even more astronomical figure. Ori rocks were born from the Heaven Realm and the Primordial Realm. They were worlds apart from divine crystals, so they naturally couldn't be compared. Lu Ming tidied up the items in his hands and continued to cultivate. Time flew by, and soon another year had passed. Over the past year, more people had broken through. The overall strength of the people from the Heaven Realm and the Primordial Realm had been increasing. Moreover, many DS had successfully broken through and entered the martial D realm. Almost all of the older DS had entered the martial D realm. Even Dandan, the Tan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, and the others were almost there. Lu Ming, I'm going to break through. Xian Yanqing said to Lu Ming. He's about to break through? All right, I'll protect you. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Zik Nianqing nodded. The two of them left the city and came to an empty land. Thank you, Nianjuan. In front of him, a figure sat cross-legged in the air, shining with brilliant holy light. He didn't expect to meet Xian Yanjuan here. You're going to break through too? Xian Yanjuan looked at Xian Yanqing in surprise. Not bad. Xian Yanqing nodded. I didn't expect that your cultivation speed would be so fast even after you've devoured the memories of your previous life. I'm a little jealous, Xian Yanjuan smiled. If I don't cultivate faster, it'll be Serpa. Sebayu. Xian Yanqing also smiled faintly. Then he went to the other side and sat cross-legged in the void. Ili's body was surrounded by a black light. Xian Yanjuan didn't say much. He closed his eyes and adjusted his state of mind. Boom, boom. 3 days later, almost at the same time, a shocking aura burst out from the two of them. A black light beam and a white light beam shot up into the sky and broke through the clouds. At this moment, countless people looked over. What a shocking aura. Someone has broken through to the martial D realm. In a city, Zhu Long's eyes flickered. Then he soared into the sky and appeared not far from Lu Ming not long after. Then, the Heavenly Thunder Emperor and the others also appeared one by one and watched from afar. At this moment, Zik Nyanging and Zik Nianjin's auras were getting stronger and stronger, as if they would never stop. Boom, boom, boom. Heaven and earth rumbled, and their bodies were like 2 black holes. Endless divine chi between heaven and Karth gathered toward them and poured into their bodies. Their auras rose once more, and a terrifying pressure spread out. This aura, how can it be so shocking? It's so terrifying. It's more than 10 times more terrifying than when we broke through. How could it be? The Ancestral Dragon, Venerable Sovereign Rebellion, Venerable Sovereign Sky Thunder, and the others couldn't stay calm anymore. They all exclaimed in shock. 23. Chapter 2581 Zik Nianqing becomes D Xian Yanqing and Xian Nianjin's auras were too shocking. Even though they had already stabilized their cultivation in the void D realm, they were still shocked. Furthermore, this was not the end. Xian Yanging and Zik Nianjin's auras were still rising. As time passed, the two of them seemed to have turned into 2 suns. One was as black as ink, while the other was holy and perk. They were like 2 suns, one black and one white, hanging in the sky, illuminating the entire GRA. Sland. At this moment, the entire GRS Sland and hundreds of giant cities could see the situation here. Such a commotion was too terrifying. Shao Qing and Xian Yanjin's breakthrough is much more shocking than the others. Lu Ming also sighed in his heart. At that moment, Lu Ming could sense that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's auras were dozens of times stronger than the others. Furthermore, it was still getting deeper. Buzz. Not far from Lu Ming, a shadow flashed and a figure appeared. It was the ancestor of technique. Clearly, even the ancestor of technique was alarmed. It's transforming. It's constantly transforming. Is it controlling the divine grade divine power? The ancestor of technique muttered. His eyes were filled with shock. And Enbisbu, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's attraction was getting stronger and stronger. Endless divine qi rolled towards the two, but it obviously couldn't keep up with the speed of their refining. Lu Ming's expression changed. He waved his hand and divine crystals appeared one after another. A total of 2,000 yuan. 1,000 yuan went to Xian Yanqing, and 1,000 yuan went to Xian Yanjuan. As soon as the divine crystals reached their bodies, they exploded one by one, turning into extremely dense divine qi that flew into their bodies and were absorbed. A day later, they had finished absorbing all 1,000 divine crystals. However, they didn't seem to want to stop. There are still 3,000 yuan left. I'll use them all. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and decided to throw out the remaining 3,000 divine crystals. However, at this moment, the ancestor of technique, who was not far away from Lu Ming, waved his hand and divine crystals flew out towards Zik Nianqing and Zik Nianjuan. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan and found out that there were a total of 6,000 divine crystals. Each of them had 3,000 divine crystals. Bang! Bang! These divine crystals also exploded one by one, turning into divine qi that was absorbed by the two. However, after a few days, the two of them still didn't stop cultivating. The ancestor of technique waved his hand again, and another 1,000 divine crystals flew out. This time, he finally had enough. When they finished absorbing the 2,000 divine crystals, their auras finally reached their peak and then slowly stabilized. He had broken through to the martial D realm. Both Xian Yanging and Xian Yanjuan had entered the martial D realm and were at Lai 1 Void D realm. Senior ancestor of technique, many thanks. Lu Ming flew toward the ancestor of technique and cupped his fists thanks. This time, if the ancestor of technique had not taken out 10,000 divine crystals, Lu Ming would not have had enough divine crystals. It's only a little divine crystal. No need to thank me. These two women aren't simple, the ancestor of technique said with a smile. He then turned into a beam of light and left. He's not simple. Lu Ming also muttered in his heart. When Zik Nianqing and Xian Yanjuan were below the battle D realm, their performance was already amazing. However, when they broke through to the battle D realm, it seemed that they were even more amazing. It was as if some kind of transformation had occurred. Xian Yanqing's previous life, or Xian Yanjin's previous life, was probably not a small matter. Lu Ming had wanted to ask Xian Yanqing about this a few times, but Xian Yanqing seemed to have some reservations and was unwilling to say more. Lu Ming wanted to get Xian Yanjuan beat around the bush, but Xian Yanjuan did not want to say more, so Lu Ming could only give up. Congratulations, congratulations. At this moment, Xian Yanging and Xian Yanjin's auras had stabilized. Zhu Long and the others quickly went up to congratulate them. Becoming a martial D was equivalent to stepping into another level of life, becoming a D and stepping into the second step of cultivation. This was no small matter. Xian Yanjuan was very cold. He simply nodded and stepped into the air, leaving the place. Many thanks to all the seniors. Xian Yanqing smiled and nodded. Then he flew toward Lu Ming. Not long after, Zhu Long and the others also left. Little Qing, how do you feel? Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and said, I feel fine. Do you want to exchange a few moves with me? Xian Yanqing blinked his big eyes and looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. What's wrong? Are you still thinking of stepping on me? Lu Ming joked. When he first met Xian Yanqing had been thinking about stepping on him every day. What's wrong? It won't work. Xian Yanqing's eyes widened. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Lu Ming smiled and planted a kiss on Zik Nianking's red lips. Then he retreated and stood opposite Zik Nianqing. Since you dared to take advantage of me, I'm going to eat you back. Xian Nianking's eyes flickered. In a flash he charged at Lu Ming. So fast. Lu Ming's heart trembled. He took a heavy step back and his figure retreated rapidly. Then his entire body was filled with a dazzling purple-gold light. Lu Ming had circulated about 80% of the Tao of domination and sent out a palm. The powerful palm force rushed towards Xian Yanqing like a mountain. Xian Yanqing also struck out with his palm. His palm was as white as jade and was wrapped in a layer of black light. Bang! The two palms collided. Instantly, Lu Ming's expression changed. He felt a terrifying force surging toward him. Lu Ming's arm was in severe pain, and he retreated 100 miles. What powerful strength! Lu Ming was secretly amazed. He had already used 80% of his strength, but he couldn't block Xian Yanging's attack at all. He retreated quickly, but Xian Yanqing didn't even move. Use your full strength, or you won't be my match. Xian Yanqing smiled. It seems like I can only use my full strength. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He pushed his path of domination to its limits. At the same time, he had already started to activate the battle character formula. Since he came here, Lu Ming had not stopped his comprehension. His understanding of the battle symbol art was getting deeper and deeper. The success rate of triggering the double combat strength of the battle symbol art had also increased. After a few moves, Lu Ming successfully triggered it and his combat strength soared. Buzz! Zik Nianqing was like a black stream flight as he charged towards Lu Ming and struck out with his palm again. Lu Ming also struck out a palm. Boom! The two of them exchanged blows for the second time. An earth-shattering boom erupted in the sky, and the force spread in all directions. Then, a figure retreated rapidly. It was still Lu Ming. The strength. Lu Ming was really shocked. He had unleashed his full power and even activated the double combat power of the battle formula. With this level of combat power, he could easily kill an ordinary second-level Void G.O.D realm. However, he was still crushed by Xian Yanqing, Kantanuk. Lu Ming's interest was piqued. He rushed towards Qin Yanqing without any hesitation and unleashed his full strength. He and Xian Yanging exchanged blows and fought fiercely. 23. Chapter 2582 3-star Heavenly Emperor. However, after exchanging more than a dozen moves with Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming realized dejectedly that he was no match for Xian Yanging. He was completely crushed. Xian Yanging's divine power was strong, condensed, and indestructible. It was so powerful that it was unfathomable. I'm done. After exchanging more than 10 moves, Lu Ming retreated and decided not to fight anymore. You're not fighting? Then I'm going to take back what you took from me. In a flash, Xian Yanging appeared in front of Lu Ming and pressed his red lips against his. Lu Ming took the opportunity to wrap his arm around Xian Nianking's slender waist. He held Xian Yanging in his arms. His hands were already on the peaks of Zik Nianking's chest, and he was rubbing them wantonly. The two of them separated after a long while. You're really lucky. Xian Yanqing blushed. We're already an old couple, yet you're still shy. Lu Ming smiled. Then they held hands and walked on the Jianghu. Little Qing, could it be that the Shen power you cultivate is divine grade Shen power? Lu Ming asked. After being here for a few months, Lu Ming had looked for Tong Shi, Cr and borrowed some books to read. They were all common knowledge about the primeval universe. Lu Ming had a lot of general knowledge about the primeval universe, including cultivation. The divine power that the martial G.O.D realm cultivated was also divided into different levels. The Shen power that a normal person cultivated was just normal Shen power. The Shen power that some geniuses cultivated was very powerful and more condensed than normal Shen power. It had many different mysteries. This kind of Shen power was called King Grade Shen power. Above King Grade Divine Power, there was a higher grade of divine power called Sacred Grade Divine Power. Those who could control Sacred Grade Divine Power were all peerless geniuses who were 1 in a billion. Their combat power was shocking, and they could casually challenge those of higher levels. Lu Ming suspected that the divine power that Zik Nianqing cultivated was divine-grade divine power. Of course, there was an even stronger divine power above the divine-grade divine power. It was the divine-grade divine power. Divine-grade divine power was even rarer. Every kind of divine-grade divine power had endless wondrous uses. Every person who could control divine-grade divine power was a genius among geniuses, unparalleled. For example, when Lu Ming entered the martial Jianghu realm, the path of domination would transform into the divine power of domination, which was a kind of divine-grade divine power. My cultivation technique and my physique are quite special. Below the martial Jianghu realm, it's the process of building the foundation, alter breaking through to the martial Jianghu realm. I will undergo a transformation and become stronger rapidly. I have sacred grade divine power now, but it will become stronger in the future. When the time comes, I might even surpass your divine power of a ruler. Xian Yanqing explained with a smile. That's great, I'll be relying on you to protect me from now on. Lu Ming also smiled. The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked. After a while, they returned to their residence. After returning to his room, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. It's almost time for me to break through, Lu Ming muttered. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation level had already reached the peak of 2-star Heavenly Emperor. He could already break through to 3-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals he had and started cultivating. In his body, the power of the world and the power of domination were circulating rapidly. Lu Ming began to break through to the next realm. Bang! Bang! The divine crystals exploded and turned into divine qi, which was absorbed by Lu Ming. At the same time, the divine qi between heaven and earth surged towards Lu Ming. Boom! 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 The dominator's energy and world energy in Lu Ming's body continued to grow stronger. However, the proportion of ruler's power in it was slowly increasing. Using divine crystals to break through was much faster than in the heaven realm. In just a few days, a powerful aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. His cultivation had broken through and he had reached the 3-star Celestial Emperor level. Eli's strength had also increased. With my current combat strength, if I activate the double combat strength of the battle formula, I should be able to fight against a 3rd-level Void Jianghu realm. Lu Ming speculated about his combat strength. When he was a 2-star Heavenly Emperor, his combat strength was still a little inferior to a 2nd-level Void Jianghu realm without activating the battle formula that doubled his combat strength. I was slightly inferior. This was because the gap between each stage of the Void Jianghu realm was even greater than that of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Now that he had broken through to the 3-star Heavenly Emperor realm, he was confident that he could fight or even defeat a 2nd-level Void Jianghu realm powerhouse without triggering the battle formula that doubled his combat strength. After using the double battle formula, he was confident that he could fight against a 3rd-level Void Jianghu realm. Of course, the opponents he was referring to were those who could control ordinary divine power. It was naturally difficult for those who could control king-grade divine power and above to do so. But I don't have many divine crystals left. Lu Ming sighed. He originally had 5,000 divine crystals. He had given 2,000 to Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, so he only had 3,000 left. When he broke through to 3-star Heavenly Emperor, he had used more than 2,000 divine crystals, so he only had a few hundred divine crystals left. He instantly felt poor and under great pressure. He had a family to feed now. His son, granddaughter, parents, and disciples all needed resources for their cultivation. Right now, their cultivation was not particularly high. The supreme-grade raw stones and divine stones that he had left were enough. Moreover, the cultivation environment here was very good, so he didn't need any divine crystals for the time being. However, as his cultivation level increased, he would definitely need divine crystals in the future. Lu Ming had to prepare some divine crystals. Moreover, he needed a large number of divine crystals for his own cultivation. Otherwise, he would run out of resources for his next breakthrough. How do I carn some G, O, D crystals? Lu Ming could not help but think about this problem. Previously, when Xian Yanqing and the others broke through, the ancestor of technique had already taken out 10,000 divine crystals. Naturally, he couldn't be thick-skinned and ask for divine crystals from the ancestor of technique now. The ancestor of technique was already good enough to them. Let's go out and take a look. Let's see if the righteous army has any missions that can carn divine crystals. At the thought of this, Lu Ming walked out of the room and flew in the direction of the righteous divine army. Lu Ming had just arrived at the righteous army when he heard someone calling him. Miss Shi. Lu Ming revealed a smile. Lu Ming, why are you free to come to the righteous army today? Tong Shi said with a smile. I'm here to see if the righteous army has any missions that can earn me some divine crystals. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. To carn G, O, D crystals? Why don't we go to the myriad gold star? We can hunt the desolate beasts on the myriad gold star and get their beast cores. We can sell them for quite a lot of divine crystals. Tong Shi said. Myriad gold star, how do I get there? Lu Ming asked. I'm also going to the myriad gold star to hunt dire beasts. Let's go together, but we're short on people. I wanted to go to the righteous army mission hall and find a few more people. Tong Shi said. I'll go find 2 people. Lu Ming said. He thought of Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Sure, I'll go rent an interstellar warship. We'll meet here tomorrow. Tong Shi said. 22. Chapter 2583 Myriad Gold Star, Rent an Interplanetary Warship? Lu Ming was stunned. That's right. Myriad Gold Star is not a planet occupied by our righteous sky army. This planet is very special. It is completely made of all kinds of metals. The desolate beasts on it are also made of metal. This planet is not occupied by any forces. Many people from the forces can go and hunt desolate beasts. That's why our Jingtian army doesn't have a teleportation array that leads directly to the Myriad Gold Star. We can only teleport to the closest location to the Myriad Gold Star and then fly there on an interplanetary warship. Tong Shi explained. Then, the cost of renting an interstellar warship must be quite high. Lu Ming said. One rent will cost 1,000 divine crystals. Tong Shi said. 1,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming was shocked. The price was shockingly high. It can't be helped. The starry sky battleships are too precious. Our righteous heaven army only has a dozen of them, and they're all of the lowest grade. They can't fly too far. They can only fly for a year in sea. Any further and they won't be able to. Besides, after every CE flight, the starship needs to be maintained. It's expensive, of course. It said that some major forces have higher-grade starry sky battleships. The rental fee is even more shocking. However, those starry sky battleships are not only faster, but they can also fly for a longer time and a longer distance in the universe. Tong Shi explained. Lu Ming sighed secretly. It seemed that he did not know enough about the common knowledge of the primeval universe. Miss Shi, can you pay for the rent of the starship first? I'll pay you back when I earn some divine crystals. Lu Ming blushed. He was really poor and could not afford to fork out so many divine crystals. I'm fine. Tong Shi smiled and bade Lu Ming farewell. Lu Ming returned to his residence and looked for Xian Yanqing. He told him about this and Xian Yanqing agreed. Then, the two of them went to find Xian Yanjuan. All right, I'll go with you. Xian Yanjuan agreed without hesitation. As a matter of fact, Xian Yanjuan was also severely lacking divine crystals for cultivation. It was just what she wanted to earn divine crystals by hunting wild beasts. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan arrived at the place where they had agreed tea yesterday. Tong Shi was already waiting there. What beautiful women! Tong Shi looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, her eyes filled with surprise. Let's go, Meet with Tong Shi left first, and soon they arrived at the SPC teleportation formation of the righteous army. The teleportation array in the primal universe looked similar to the teleportation array in the heaven realm and the primordial realm. After they stepped into the teleportation array, they felt the world spin around them, and they disappeared from the teleportation array. The journey to Myriad Gold Star was not short. They had to change to another teleportation array on the way to the nearest planet to Myriad Gold Star, Tianguang Planet. After 3 transfers, they arrived at Tianguang Planet. Tianguang Planet was the closest planet to Myriad Gold Planet among the planets that the Righteous Heaven Army had occupied. After arriving at Tianguang Planet, Tong Shi took out the Starry Sky battleship. After the 4 of them entered the battleship, the Starry Sky battleship broke through the sky and flew towards Myriad Gold Planet. The Starry Sky battleship would take a month to reach the Myriad Gold Star, so the 4 of them cultivated while waiting. A month later, a huge planet appeared in front of them. In terms of size, this planet was far smaller than the true Heaven Star and the Underworld Star, but it was very special. From a distance, it looked like a huge gem suspended in the starry sky, shining brightly. According to Tong Shi's introduction, most of the materials on Myriad Gold Star were all kinds of strange metals. Even the living beings on it were not made of flesh and blood, but were made of metal. The desolate beasts above were the same, and the beast cores that were condensed in the bodies of these desolate beasts became a very precious material for refining weapons. The higher the grade and cultivation of the desolate beast, the more precious and expensive the beast core condensed by it was. And NBSP this attracted many experts to come and kill desolate beasts to obtain their beast cores. Boom, boom, boom. The interplanetary warship entered the atmosphere of the Myriad Gold Star and rubbed against the atmosphere, making loud rumbling sounds. At this moment, the 4 of them exited the interplanetary warship and stood high in the sky. The Starry Sky battleship quickly shrank and was put away by Tong Shi. Let's go down. It was not Tong Shi's first time here, so she was the first to fly down. Below him was a boundless forest. As expected, they are all made of metal. As they neared the forest, Lu Ming was secretly amazed. The trees and vegetation here were all made of strange metals. Lu Ming saw iron trees, silver flowers, and golden fruits. Of course, these ordinary metals were of no use to them, so they didn't care. The world is full of wonders. Lu Ming sighed. The greater world in the primeval universe was indeed more wonderful than the lesser world. An entire planet was made of all kinds of metals. The plants and living beings were all made of metal. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. Legend had it that in the vast universe, there were many more wonderful planks, some of which were beyond imagination. As they neared the forest, Tong Shi's speed decreased. We have to be careful on the Myriad Gold Star. Not only are the wild beasts dangerous, but the experts from other forces are even more dangerous. Tong Shi said. Lu Ming nodded. He understood that many forces would come here to hunt dire beasts. There were probably many powerful people on this Myriad Gold Star. It was normal for these powerful people from different forces to hunt people from other forces for their beast cores. The 4 of them landed in the forest, concealed their auras, and slowly ran forward. Suddenly, a roar came from the front, and then a silver light flashed. They saw a huge figure rushing towards them. Ret real. The 4 of them quickly retreated. Boom. The earth rumbled and the metal on the ground exploded and splattered. A huge creature appeared at the spot where Lu Ming and the rest had been standing. It was a giant ape, more than 30 meters tall. Its body was silver white as if it was cast from silver. Even the hair on its skin was like silver needles. The giant silver ape roared angrily. Its silver eyes emitted a cold glint as it charged toward Lu Ming and the others. Its huge fist, which was the size of a small house, smashed toward Lu Ming and the others, bringing with it a terrifying whistling sound. "I'll fight him." Lu Ming rushed over, circulated the ruler's power, and threw a punch. Thump. A dull boom was heard. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him, and he could not help but retreat. However, the giant ape also took a few steps back, causing the ground to crack. What terrifying power! What a hard fist! Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Pound 3. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.